All right, you have seen the ngFor directive before. We use this directive to render a list of objects. So let's review this one more time, and this time I'm going to show you more details about this directive. So here in app component, I'm going to define a new field called courses and set this to an array of objects. In this array, we're going to have 3 course objects. And for each course, we're going to have 2 properties. One is ID, and the other is the name. So course 1. Now I'm going to duplicate this. So ID 2 and 3, and obviously course 2 and course 3. Now let's use the ngFor directive to render these on the view. So app.component.html, we want to have a UL, and inside this UL, we need an li. Tab, that's the markup. Now we add ngFor, and here as the value, we type let course of courses. And then we can use interpolation to render the name of each course. So course.name. Let's make sure the application works up to this point. So back in the browser, okay, we got 3 courses on the screen. Beautiful. Now this ngFor directive exports a bunch of values that might help you build certain features. For example, imagine you want to render a table and you want to highlight the first row, or maybe you want to highlight the last row, or you want to highlight the odd or even rows, or maybe you want to display an index next to each object. We can use the exported values from ngFor directive. So here after this expression, we add semicolon. One of these exported values is index. So we type index. Now we need to alias this to a local variable. So we type as, and then the name of our local variable, like I. So with this expression, we get the value of the index and put it in a local variable called I. And then we can use interpolation to render I on the screen. So like this, I. All right, now let's test this. Back in the browser, look, before each course, we have its index in our courses field. So as you can see, the index of the first item or the first course is 0. Now, index is one of these exported values. There are several other. Let me show you how you can find the list of all these exported values. So if you head over to angular.io, in the search box, you can search for ngFor of directive. That's the name of our directive. Even though in HTML we use ngFor, but the actual name of this directive is ngFor of. And you can see that here, it has a D icon, which indicates a directive. Now on this page, if you scroll down, under local variables, you can see all these exported values. So you saw index, we also have first, last, even, and odd. So let me show you one more example. Let's say we want to render a table and we want to highlight all the even rows. So we can get access to the even value and alias this as a local variable, is even. Because this even is a Boolean. Unlike the index, which is a number, even, odd, first, and last values, they are all Boolean. Now here, next to each course, I want to render a span. And I want to render this only if this is an even row. So ng if is even. For now, I just add a simple label. Now in your applications, you might want to render a table. So you can use this variable is even and apply some style or some class to even rows in your table. Now let's try this. Back in the browser. So you can see in front of the first and the third rows, we have this label, even.